Just a little something I prepared earlier. Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, and lots of fellow graduates today. I stand here feeling both honoured and humbled to have been considered worthy of this award. The past 18 months have been really difficult for everyone, and hopefully the fact that everybody is together here today is a sign that life is slowly coming back to normal. So COVID for me on reflection takes me back to February 2020, a time when everybody was just talking about the problems in China and that virus. I wasn't long in Plymouth and I bought a dog. The dog got me out of the house. She's really cute and she became a bit of a random stranger magnet. So I found myself not walking very far and saying the same thing over and over again to lots of different people. Yes, she is cute, isn't she? She's a Cocker Spaniel, not a Springer. She's 10 weeks old, and so it went on. And it was sometimes tiring, but I always found that it was such a nice thing that in this part of the country, everybody's very kind and nice to each other. Not always the atmosphere and experience that you would get walking your dog in a park in London. So on one of these random stranger moments, I was sitting outside a cafe with the dog, and this lady came up to me and said, "Oh, she's cute, isn't she?" And I said, "She is, but she's not that cute when she's had you up 3 times during the night and you've got a long day's work in front of you." So she said to me, "What is it that you do?" And I said, "I'm a nurse." And she said, "Wow." And her whole demeanour changed. As she sat down beside me, pulled over her chair, ordered a coffee and said, "Now tell me all about this virus. I'm a little bit worried about it. Can you tell me what's going to happen?" So what I noticed immediately was that Caroline, who I now know her as being, was absolutely terrified. So we spent an hour talking and I tried to get the balance right between being honest and telling her how things might be. And the actual truth was that I didn't know myself at the time. So we talked for an hour, and as she was leaving, she said, "Maybe we'll see each other here next month. We can compare notes and see how it's all gone." So we made a deal to do that. Little did either of us know then that by the next month, not only would the cafe that we were sitting in be closed, but the world would have gone into freeze frame, we'd all be locked down, and we'd suddenly become part of history with a generation that lived or died through COVID-19. And so it began. At work later the same week, we made plans to receive the first COVID patients into the hospital. To do that, we had to empty the whole place, to create isolation facilities, and we cleared offices, just like the university cleared students, and we sent everybody home. We discharged every patient that we could, and then suddenly an eerie quiet fell across the building, which was a stark contrast from the usual hustle and bustle that fills the corridors 24/7. We urgently trained hundreds, if not thousands, of frontline staff in isolation procedures and how to safely put on protective isolation suits and the masks that would now need to be worn every day just when caring for patients. The PPE, as now everybody calls it, was to become the symbolic imagery of healthcare workers in the media, staff being heroically portrayed to the outside world for their dedication, their altruism in caring for those who are critically affected by the virus and putting their own lives at risk in the line of duty. Staff just responded by doing their job. They needed to do it, and they were just needing to be there for patients. They nursed people in isolation, separated from their friends and family, with no visiting ever permitted. Unimaginable circumstances for any patient or family to find themselves in at that time. So this was a time for healthcare workers to come together and come to the fore and show what they do best, as individuals, as teams, in unison and for all patients. I'm proud to have been able to lead such teams, and I feel privileged to have played a tiny part in the healthcare response to COVID-19. Long before the dreaded words COVID-19 made their way into everyone's household vocabulary, it was announced by the World Health Organization in 2019, the 200th anniversary of Florence Nightingale's birth, that 2020 would be the International Year of the Nurse. There was so much excitement and planning, with international, regional and local events being planned to celebrate and showcase the work that nurses do in so many settings, touching the lives of so many people in communities across the world, every hour of every day. A year to be proud and a year to celebrate, that was the plan. But as the saying goes, the best made plans of mice and men can often go awry, and COVID-19 very quickly dampened all spirits, cancelled all celebrations, and put pay to the Year of Nurse celebrations. However, there's no doubt that 2020 was very different for very different reasons, but it was absolutely still very much the Year of the Nurse, and probably showcased nursing and nurses for what they do in such a way that previous band showcasing never could. If ever there was an opportunity to show the world the value of nursing and the contribution the profession makes to people's lives, it was certainly 2020. It was the COVID pandemic, and it was the work that nurses did and continue to do side by side with their colleagues from many other professions, creating amazing teams, delivering amazing care to patients and families affected by the new virus. I'm extremely thankful today to Marjon University, an ally and a strong supporter of University Hospitals Plymouth, continuously looking at how we can collaborate to support each other and communities that we serve. I'm humbled and honoured that you see me both as a role model for your students and as an ambassador for the university. And there's certainly responsibilities that I aspire to, and I hope that this will bring us closer together as we seek opportunities to develop educational pathways that will support future careers that support our communities. I'd like to conclude by thanking you once again for considering me and what I stand for in my role as Chief Nurse and Director of Integrated Professions. I'm honoured to stand before you today, accepting this award, and I do so proudly, but not in acknowledgement of my own achievements. But in recognition of the huge and often selfless contribution that healthcare teams have made across the hospital, the system, the country, and the world in the last 18 months. These achievements have only been possible where nurses stand by side with their medical and therapy colleagues, their administrative support, and their leaders to provide the best care possible to those who needed it at the most difficult of times. Today I'm proud, not just of being a nurse, but of being a leader of truly inspirational people. And long may we continue to be inspired by their humbling acts of kindness and care. Thank you.